Now, one might ask the question on what basis the Controller and Accountant General's Department carried out or has carried out this move. And as per a statement issued by the department, it's in line with Regulation 297 of the Financial Administration Regulation of 2004 LI 1802. That's on the screens now, and I'm just going to run you by what it spells out. It says a deduction shall not be made from personal emoluments except for statutory deductions, disciplinary awards, and voluntary deductions authorized by the head of unit upon authority of administrative instructions issued by the head of department. That's specifically what this LI 1802 spells out. Now, one might make the observation of the fact that the Regulation 297 does not speak directly to the recent action that has been carried out by the Controller and Accountant General's Department. And that's what led us to take a closer look at the entire Financial Administration Regulation LI 1802. And in so doing, we found that Regulation 297 is followed by Regulation 29H, which speaks a bit more directly to the issue at hand, being the suspension of the August salaries of these 7,000 workers of government's mechanized payroll, making it more contextually relevant. And so this might not directly speak to the current issue, but Alfred, Regulation 298 seems to speak more directly to that issue as per our findings. Absolutely,
Natalie. And that's why we're going to do this particular analysis, because the 297, as you did run us through, clearly paints a picture that does not fit into it. What you're going to see behind me right now, I'm going to run you through the Regulation 298(1)(a), and it states specifically, and I quote, the head of a department shall cause the immediate stoppage of payment of salaries to a public servant has as you can see, been absent from duty without leave or reasonable cause of a period as stipulated in the administrative regulations of the establishment. B, been absent from duty on leave without pay. C, been convicted of an offense involving theft or fraud or a sentence of imprisonment. Now, D, resigned. E, retired. Or F, died. And then the second, that's 2982, all other payments due to the public servant must also be stopped in the circumstances provided for in sub-regulation 1, where the Controller and Accountant General is actually notified. So that's the summary of the law, as you see right behind me now. Now, this stands to really question whether or not this is in a bit to clear the public payroll of the ghost names, which has always been the case. And there are people who are benefiting from the ghosts, because when salaries are paid, people, human beings, go to withdraw the money and not the ghosts. In another sense, it should have just been there for us to go see. But I want to understand a little bit more why this particular move to have 7,000 workers be denied of their salary for the month of August. Daniel Opoku is with Elizabeth Osei, who is the Director of Payroll at the Controller and Accountant General's Department. Daniel, if you can hear me, let's find out what exactly this move is all about.
Had some workshop with departmental heads of the various public sector and civil service. Now, basically, the discussions were to look at validation of public sector employees before they are paid. And then that sensitization workshop, Mr. Ofosuhene indicated that from April up to August, more than 5,000 names of employees were unknown, but all the same, some of them were missing. So for that reason, he gave a directive that the various heads of departments should ensure that they will validate their workers before controller will be able to pay them. And he gave August as a deadline that all those who fail to validate their employees are not going to be paid. And as we speak, the Controller Accountant General has embarked on this directive. That's implemented a directive that about 7,000 names of public sector employees have not been paid or will not be paid this month of August. And Controller gave up to the end of September. That is, if only they have by then might have gone through the validation exercise. We are currently with Madam Mrs. Elizabeth Osei, who is the Director in charge of payroll at the Controller and Accountant General's Department. Madam, good evening.
Good evening.
My first question to the 7,000 names that you have suspended, where is the largest group coming from?
The largest numbers are coming from Ghana Education Service.
Meaning what?
Meaning that a lot of employees in the Ghana Education Service who were not validated have not been paid for the month of August.
Prior to that, were you able to engage the leadership of the Ghana Education Service before their names were suspended? Because most of the concerns that they raise, that most of them are in the deprived areas where getting access to network is a problem for them to embark on this validation or registration exercise.
Yes, as you rightly said, we engaged chief directors and heads of MDAs in all the civil service and in fact the public sector whose salaries are paid on the Controller and Accountant General's department have been sensitized already on this, how do I call it, the directive. We've also spoken to the various public sector unions to, as it were, bring them, create the awareness that their employees stand not to be paid. In fact, this directive was going to be implemented in July, but because we engaged with the various unions and managements of the various institutions, they asked that we give them a little more time so that they could bring this to the notice of all their validators or their heads of departments, and we agreed to that. So everybody agreed that we would roll this particular directive out in August 2017, and we've done just that.
Wouldn't have controller found a more appropriate way in terms of giving them punishment rather than suspending their salaries?
See, it's not only about punishing, it's about the credibility of the payroll we are running at the Controller and Accountant General's department. It's a centralized system, and this is an intervention to make sure that we pay only deserving employees. So the ESPV system that has been ruled out is meant to ensure that every head of department is aware of who Controller and Accountant General is paying on their behalf. So that is why we are doing this. It's not to punish anybody, but it's to ensure that we ensure that everybody who is paid ought to be paid. And so if they are not validated, it's difficult for the Controller and Accountant General to establish if they exist and whether their salaries are legitimate. So it's not about punishing, but it's about ensuring that there is no leakage in the government purse. We are protecting the government purse.
Now, linking that to gift mix, are we saying controller is getting a headway?
In fact, gift mix is making a lot of headway, not only in the payment of salaries, but also the financial management generally, as in disbursements at the MDA level. So it's not only about the Controller and Accountant General's salary payments, but generally about disbursements out of the GOG or out of the consolidated fund. It's becoming more and more credible.
Are you reaching a final stage in terms of gift mix, rolling out the gift mix?
Not final. Gift mix is still midway, I must say, but it's been rolled out to most MDAs. I'm not the best authority to speak on this, but then gift mix has been rolled out to most MDAs, and even to the extent that we've started deploying to MMDAs in the districts.
Thank you very much, Madam Mrs. Elizabeth Osei, who is in charge of payroll at the Controller and Accountant General's Department. My name is Daniel Opoku. Over to you in the studio.
Poco, they're right from the office of the Controller and Accountant General's Department to get more on this. It's interesting that the Ghana Education Service has their largest affected with this 7,000. We would follow it up to see the reactions from the various teacher unions and every other person who might be affected by this particular development. Back